Hello from the Imagination Factory. I'm Sarah,
I'm Keith.
and this is our recap of episodes 15, 16, and 17.
Panel one here. I'm trying to make sure that the light, the blocking of where all of the compositional elements are, they all make sense. And so I'm deciding to, like figure out like, okay, what are the parameters of this space, where the walls are, where's the kitchen, where is the door going to be?
Yeah, so the initial blocking was really important to get right because we had to figure that out first before we could move on to any other details. We had to make sure that everything existed in the space and know exactly where the door sat, which was something that was really important, as well as where the light was coming from. So all the decisions in panel one took us quite a while because they were going to impact everything else going forward.
So you can see I'm drawing in that light source, so I know that it's directly going to be on the wall where the door is. And I'm also at this point going, okay, do we want to see the wall? Should I actually shrink this in a little bit so that we can see part of it? And that's exactly what I've done here. I'm also introducing a perspective grid, which is really valuable in regards to being able to sight where the lines are supposed to go. And as you can see here, I needed to make sure that all of the walls and the doors were in the same perspective. And that way, when you're looking at it, it feels like it's a place that something in there isn't throwing you off.
Exactly, and we realized that that was gonna be super important, especially from this angle, because looking down, the perspective is slightly different than when you're inside of a space, and because this establishes everything, we really wanted to ensure that that was done properly. So once we kind of got to this point with panel 1, we were making sure that everything was in the space, the shadows were in the space, the light was there, the perspective was there. This one took quite a bit of time to tweak and get right because it's going to, again, tell the story for everything else to come.
Yeah, I mean, you could actually, if you wanted to do something similar, even though if you're not going to use it as a panel, just so you have an idea of like where everything is located in the space you're using. It's not it's very helpful, right? So if you have new scenes with a different space, do something like this. Okay, so we've moved on to panel two here, and that plant I think is like kind of important in regards to like using it to direct the eye to the door. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do that so that the um, again the shadow of the plant is blocking a certain way towards the door. I also angled it slightly. Diagonals are always a little bit more interesting.
Exactly. And it was important because we had to figure out why does Sam's attention go to the door so quickly? And we thought that that shadow of that odd shaped plant on it would immediately point it out.
Yeah. And I'm going back to panel one. I like moving around. So as ideas, as we talk things through, an idea will come to me or I'll realize I forgot something and I'll go back to a previous panel to put it in. So it's a very organic process. As you
Mhm.
can see here, as I'm working on panel three, I'm trying to figure that out as well as in regards to like, how do I block this so that the shadow on the door kind of works with Sam moving towards the door.
Exactly, and that was one of the things too that we were really playing with was that shadow, and then with the plant, is the shadow between Sam and the door? Is it on the other side? How does the light come in? So there's a lot of really technical things to make it feel real so that it doesn't feel completely out of nowhere that suddenly a shadow is coming from a different direction, so we really spent a lot of time establishing that and making that rule so that we knew what it was going forward.
I also wanted to make this panel open to make it feel like there was an action happening. So if you want your panels to feel like, especially with action, like they're moving quickly, putting less detail in will make it so that the eye isn't looking at as many things. It's only focusing on the actions that you want it to focus on. So that was part of what I was trying to figure out. Like, do I actually need to put a background in here, or can I just hint at it with the direction of the light? And that's ultimately the decision I made with that.
Exactly, and then with panels, 3 and 4, this is the conversation, right? So this was very much, Sam on the phone, how do we block that in? But there was a lot less to those two because they were doing a very, very specific thing. And really it was establishing our time and place by having that phone with the cord on it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so panel 4 and 5, you can just, almost draw the same thing if you wanted to and just slightly change some of the, movements and the detail, and that's pretty much what I did there. And you can see I went right back to panel 3 once again because I had an idea at the very end of that, page that we're working on, and then the last panel there before we went off, it was at night, so making the door kind of the negative space. Everything else had been white before, now it was black, and the door was the thing that was white.
Exactly. And as you can see, we went back and forth. We really figured out every single piece of how that worked. And then we moved on to page 2, which will be in our next recap. Thanks for watching.